quick story of what's happening in New York and how it's affected me with teacher evaluation. So, as most of you know, what's happening in New York, they instituted the APPR system, which is a new teacher evaluation system in New York. It's going to be all based on those great value-added scores. And so, what happened this year in my school, each individual district on Long Island and other counties, the individual teachers had to come up with their own assessment for those students, and then give an assessment in October and give the same assessment back later in June. So what happened was that the rebellious kid I am, I knew that you could easily tamper with these value-added scores by just telling everybody to fail the first part and do marginally better on the second part. So the teachers got kind of angry at me, and some of the students were wondering what is this kid saying? We just failed the first part. This might affect my grade. But then it has no effect whatsoever on the students' grades. It has no effect whatsoever on their academic performance. So there's an easy way to manipulate these scores. They're garbage. We know they're junk science. We know that already. And the scientists have proven that. The economists have proven that. It's just the people here that need to understand that. So what's happening is, I think what we need, first of all, is what if we had those students in New York schools saying, we're not going to take the June test. These things are invalid. We're not going to do it anymore. And teachers said also, we're not going to give the test to these kids. We're going to refrain from it, like what they did in Seattle. What if you had that in every state, just with teacher evaluation, or you had it with every test? I mean, that would make national headlines. I mean, I'd make sure it'd make national headlines, because I think right now the media right now is so skewed. It makes my blood boil, because what happened in Chicago just recently, there was not a single TV outlet that was covering the Chicago school closings protest. Not a single one, not even MSNBC, okay? Not even what we call the progressive outlets. So we have to make a stir. We have to make sure that our voices are heard, that we're on the front page of newspapers. To make sure that Michelle Rhee's report card is not on the front page, but things like this are on the front page. So it's going to take much more than just speeches and rhetoric and talking. It's going to take action. I was just in Selma, Alabama, just a few weeks ago for the Bridge Crossing Jubilee, and what happened there was something extraordinary. I mean, just recently, the Supreme Court is now trying to strike down one of the parts of the Voting Rights Act. And this was the major conversation in Selma that weekend. And when I was talking, when they were giving these speeches, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, and even Vice President Biden, they were all talking about and having this nostalgia over the civil rights movement and what was happening decades and decades ago. People were flooding the streets. There should be no reason we should not be flooding the streets today. We should be in the streets. We should be protesting, because these are practices that are discriminatory, that are hurting our children, that are hurting society as a whole. It must be known. It must be known to every single person that votes, that is engaged, and is a citizen. I think what is happening most importantly, and this is what Jesse Jackson really strived on, is making sure that we move from just moments, and we shift to movements, we shift to action, and we shift to actual dialogue and conversation. Because it's great to name call. It's fun. I mean, it's really fun. But the better part is having those rich conversations and sitting down with people, even though you may not disagree with them, even though you may disagree with every single thing they vouch for. I was just on a panel with actually Michelle Rhee herself at Fast Company in November. So you can have these rich conversations, and you can move away from the name calling. It's okay. And I think and that kind of dialogue, once you say that we sat down with those people, we sat down with the people in the DOE, and we vouched our opinions, but they still didn't listen, it will make your argument so much more legitimate, and will show to people that you actually care about them. It's all about that emotional aspect. And that's about winning elections, that's about winning campaigns, it's about winning the power and the heart over people. And that makes a much bigger difference. So